Welcome to episode 62 of Book Nerd Paradise, where we get to know an author as they tell us one of their favorite quotes, read from their work, pose a trivia question, and give away a book or two. Hi, I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. And I want to make sure that everyone is aware the prequel, Power of the Air's Passion, as well as Book 1, Blast the Dragon's Fury, ebooks, are available for free download on Amazon, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. So if you haven't yet gotten a copy, please make sure you do. Today, we have the pleasure of getting to know YA fantasy author Aria Michaels. Aria is an avid reader, die-hard zombie fan, and enthusiastic lover of bonfires and red wine, she says. When she's not glued to her computer pouring out the voices in her head, she can be found playing in the dirt with her 6 boys. Wow, 6 boys. Other than that, she paints or binge watches The Walking Dead with her husband. I could see why she would like that if she has 6 boys in the house. Don't let her mild-mannered smile fool you. Aria is a woman with lofty ambitions that include complete world domination. She's determined to live in a world where every pair of yoga pants comes with a free book, an iced caramel macchiato, and a magic force field that repels the sound of screaming children. Got that. In the meantime, Aria is hard at work on the next installment of the Icarus series, reveling in her role as instigator of literary mayhem and stealth assassin of fictional characters. Oh boy. All right. Please join me in welcoming Aria Michaels.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Great to have you today. This is going to be fun, I can already tell. Aria, you'll be reading from your YA dystopian novel, Killshot, which is book 1 in the Icarus series. So that we can get a feel for the book, would you give us a brief synopsis?
The Icarus series is a dystopian series that's set following a solar flare, and Killshot is the first in the series, and it starts with what should have been a simple solar flare, and a couple of high school students sort of gathered around to watch, and it ignites into a full-blown solar storm. And this solar storm wipes out pretty much all vestiges of human society, and it's a very small percentage of the earth left to fight for survival. This series involves Liv Larson, she's our protagonist, and a group of misfit high school students who just sort of were thrown together in the midst of chaos, and they're sort of forced to find ways to survive in the midst of all this. And her primary objective is getting back to her little brother, who she was separated from when they lost their parents. So the focus of the series is redefining family through friendship, and it's done in the midst of the worst possible case scenario you could imagine. So there's a lot of excitement and a lot of fun and a lot of danger, and it's just a really fun series to write, and from what I've been told, even more fun to read.
So then you have selected a favorite quote. If you would tell us what that is and then tell us why it's a favorite.
It's always been my favorite. It's a quote by John Lennon from the song Beautiful Boy. And it's, life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. And this particular quote is of the utmost importance to me because I'm a planner. I always have been. I've planned for every scenario. I want to have control of the situation at all times. I wouldn't say I'm a control freak so much as a control enthusiast, but ultimately, plans can only get you so far. And then that's when life takes over and usually deals you a hand that you were not prepared for. And the beauty in that is that even if you weren't prepared, even if it's not what you wanted, the results can be amazing. And the best example of that is a 21-year-old me who's destined for New York City and planning on living in an artist loft with 3 or 4 of my friends. And I was very excited, and it was all planned out, and we had it all figured out. And then I found out I was pregnant. And my world came crashing down around me, and I was horrified and embarrassed and scared. And it was like, you know, you're 21, that's not what you planned for yourself. So I had no idea what I was going to do. So I stayed and they went. And I stayed and I did the pregnancy thing, which was miserable. And I gave birth to my first child on September 11th, 2001, 2 hours before the first plane hit the World Trade Center. I was supposed to be in New York on that day, but I got pregnant and I didn't go. So life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. It may not feel poetic in the moment, but 9 months later, when my son was born on that day, it made sense. And it's what happened to me, but it's also part of who I am and what started a snowball effect for me, where motherhood became a new purpose for me. And it's literally saved my life. So that quote, it's going to be a tattoo someday. It really is. And it just means the world to me. And I feel like even for those of us who are planners and like to always be ready, sometimes it's okay to not be ready. Sometimes it's okay to not have a plan and to have no idea what you're doing. Because ultimately, if you're doing what you're meant to be doing, it'll all work out.
You will be giving away a book. If you would tell us what it is.
I'm feeling generous, so the first thing I would like to give away is 2 copies of Killshot, the Icarus series, book 1. I'll be doing the ebook, and you know, depending on the responses and how much activity we get, if I get to feeling super generous, I may give out a paperback. We'll just have to see how everybody does. And anytime I send out an ebook, the winners always get a secret swag pack from me too. So that's just sort of an added bonus. And again, you know, we'll have to see how the participation goes. But as a special incentive, and this is something I don't do very often, I do have another book coming out very soon. And on the 15th of May, I will be releasing the beta reader copies of book 2 in the Icarus series, Ballistic. And I would like to extend to your followers the opportunity for one of them to win a spot as a beta reader for that book. And hopefully they'll enjoy it, but they're getting a 2-week advance copy, and the rest of the world won't see it until June 1st. So it's kind of a big deal.
Cool. Wow. You hear that, guys? This is awesome. So not only can you win the ebook of book 1, but along with the swag bag and all that other good stuff, but you also, wow, you can be an advanced reader of book 2. Wow. Which, as I understand, is coming out June 1st. So, but this is like once in a lifetime kind of a thing, right? It's like, she doesn't do this one. No.
Yes.
If she hasn't gotten your attention by now, I don't know what will. Anyway, so to enter to win this giveaway with all this stuff, all you need to do is in the comments section below, just leave a comment about the show. And make sure that you leave a Twitter handle, a Facebook address, or an email address so that we can make sure we can get you the prize if you're the lucky winner. Aria, you're going to be reading from Killshot, which we said was book 1 in the Icarus series.
Yes.
If you would briefly set up the portion you're going to be reading from, and then go ahead and share with us.
And this particular excerpt that I'm going to be reading happens a few days into the chaos, as they're sort of venturing out into what is their new reality. And obviously, you know, it's a little bit chaotic and scary, and they still don't know what's going on, but they've already settled on a mission, and they're determined to be successful in that mission. But unfortunately, that involves a certain amount of danger. And Liv, our main character, who, by the way, was based on me as a high schooler, so that made her very easy to write. She has a tendency to put herself in precarious situations, and she sort of rushes in head first and then thinks later. And this particular scenario is one prime example of Liv doing just that. Her intentions are golden and she's looking to, you know, do the right thing, but she maybe kind of doesn't think first. So this particular situation is quite adventurous for her and, you know, maybe a little bit dumb. So, you know, typical teenage stuff where you don't always think before you act. And it's one of my favorite scenes, so I'm looking forward to sharing it. In one swift motion, I used the trowel to slide open the door and dove across to the other side of the door frame. Bright amber flames shot out through the opening, engulfing the space I had been just moments ago. A relentless torrent of thick black smoke surged out after me, soaring into the night sky like a swarm of locusts. After a breath of fresh air, the fire retreated back into the house to continue its feast. As soon as it did, I tightened the towel around my face, crouched down, and crept through the open door. Out of habit, I suppose, I kicked it shut behind me. Cut off from its escape route, the smoke began to cling in angry clouds, thickening against the ceiling of the burning kitchen. I suppose I should have left it open, but it was too late to turn back. I rushed across the floor, keeping my head low as possible. Stepping over a burning stool, I ducked beneath the singed remain of the swinging doors and out into the main entryway of our house. Fire trickled up the walls like an orange waterfall flowing backwards, sending bits of flaming paint and wallpaper fluttering to the floor around me. Like me, the flames were seeking higher ground. I needed to hurry if I was going to beat them. I took a deep breath, and my lungs screamed in protest, but I fought the urge to reject the toxic air. I dove forward into the unknown. Flashbacks of grade school fire prevention assemblies rushed through my mind as I staggered towards the stairs. The firefighters always said the same thing. Stay low to the ground, cover your mouth and nose, and never, ever go into a burning building. I guess 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Mrs. Tate's prized oak railing was still intact, and I ran one hand along it as I army crawled to the top of the staircase. When I crested the top step, I slithered along the floor, keeping my hand against the molding that ran the length of the hallway. I followed it past the bathroom towards where Riley and I slept. Unable to see through the wall of darkness, I found my way to her room by touch alone. The heat was all-consuming. My eyes watered uncontrollably, but I had no idea where my body had found moisture, and it did little to soothe the burning beneath my lids. My throat felt raw and tight, each breath like swallowing sand. I hacked and gagged as the smoke tried to force its way into my lungs. It tasted of burning plastic and chemicals, and my tongue began to swell. I pulled myself up onto the balls of my feet, lunging headfirst through Riley's open door. I coughed and sputtered against the poisonous black cloud and followed the edge of the mattress to the old bass drum she used as a nightstand. I sifted frantically through the tumbling stack of books, hair ties, and makeup until I found what I was looking for, and I shoved the cross deep into my pocket and ducked back out into the hallway. The cloud of poison had grown thicker now, forcing me back down to the floor. From my vantage point, I could easily see beneath the door to my room, to the orange glow that awaited me beyond it. I shifted around so I was lying on my back, and the soles of my boots rested against my door. I held my breath, cranked my feet back, and thrust them as hard as I could. On the third kick, it swung open, and I rolled to the side as the knob slammed hard against the wall in my room. Flames burst through and into the hallway. As soon as the backdraft subsided, I scrambled across the floor into my room. It was completely engulfed in flames. I could barely think as the smoke strangled and pressed me into the floor. The walls and ceiling bubbled under the bright orange tendrils, and pieces of plaster crashed down around me. The end of my bed was completely walled in fire as they crept their way towards me. I barely flinched when the rosy lamp shrapnel embedded itself in my hand. Yet I nearly lost it when my hand finally landed on my little brother's stuffed lion. I grabbed it by the tail, stuffed him up the front of my shirt, and made my way out of the scorched remains of that damn princess bedroom, gagging as my lungs burned in my chest. I felt myself sinking into the floor, my limbs no longer responding to commands. My eyes refused to open, but I could feel the heat closing in. I always heard your life flash before your eyes before you died, but in my case, it was more of a random fleeting thought. I was dying, trying to save a stuffed animal.
Our guest last week, YA fantasy author Jennifer Elysian, posed a trivia question for us.
So my question last week was, what is the Hufflepuff-related item that Lord Voldemort uses to create his Horcrux? And the answer is Hufflepuff's cup.
Aria, you have a trivia question for us. What is it?
My trivia question is this. What was the name of the song that Katniss Everdeen's father used to sing to her when she was a little girl?
Ooh, that's an awesome question. Cool. All right, so I'm sure many of us don't know the answer, myself included. So be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I believe the button's right over here. It's right there, that bright red button. Make sure you hit that button and subscribe to this YouTube channel, because if you don't know the answer, you're certainly going to want to find out next episode. And if you subscribe, then you don't have to remember, and it will just automatically come to you. So make sure that you subscribe, okay? Aria, any final thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
I've got a couple. First of all, becoming an author was not something that I planned. When I wrote my first book, I was working a corporate job. Writing was something I stumbled into. It was something I've always enjoyed doing, but the universe pushed me in that direction. And I had a pretty big health scare in 2013. And when I stopped working, I started writing. And the words just sort of came to me. And the story was something that had always been there. And when I started writing, I stopped wondering so much what I was supposed to be doing and where I was supposed to be at and what I was meant for. And I started making connections and finding people who were just like me, maybe a little bit odd and, you know, never really the popular kid or the prom queen or any of those things. But what I found in the writing community was a tribe and a new definition of family and a new definition of friendship. And I just wanted to extend to all of the weird ones out there to know that being who you are is totally great. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to laugh at your own jokes. It's okay to have blue hair and, you know, to be weird, because I've been weird my whole life. And I have a tribe. I have a tribe of people who are just as weird as I am, who get me and understand me and support me. And you will have a tribe too. The moment you accept who you are and how you are, you will start finding people that are just like you. So worry a little bit less about what everyone else thinks and more about how you feel about yourself. And the second you connect with who you are, everyone else will do the same. Second thought, obviously, is on May 15th, I will be releasing the amazing cover art for the second book in my series, Ballistic. The book itself, Ballistic, Icarus Series Book 2, releases on June 1st.
Thank you so much for those words. That's great. Yes, it's okay to be you. I would submit that that's the only you you can be anyway. So whether you consider that weird or you consider that who knows what, just be you. That's a great thought. And with that thought, we come to the end of this episode. I hope you very much enjoyed meeting Aria Michaels. I know I've very much enjoyed chatting with her here. So certainly there's a lot more depth, it sounds like, from everything that she said. So do feel free to reach out to her. All the contact information for her is in the show notes right down below here. So you don't have to go anywhere. Just open the notes up and you can connect with her pretty quickly. So I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. I hope you've enjoyed today's program, and I truly do look forward to seeing you again next episode. Have a great week.